chance to believe that it can win. And that's really the biggest thing that Dick is trying to inspire in this ball club, the fact that they can win ball games.
And the defense played well for him. The defense has played very well since the third game of the season for Dennis Erickson. They opened up 0-2 and were struggling, but they've really turned it around. And of course the defense, one of the keys, Warren Moon the other key. And we're set to go. The Saints will kick off. Doug Bryan and the veteran Steve Broussard at the 4-yard line, and we're underway. Broussard with a nice return and finally run out of bounds at about the 24. And let's take a look at our lineups. A 20-yard return as Warren Moon will come on the field. The offensive line, Grant Williams starting in place of Howard Ballard. Walter Jones, the rookie, back in the lineup. Warren, of course, the running back. 3 wide receivers. Galloway really playing well recently. Pritchard and Blades, and Carlos DeCrumpler, the young tight end, also coming on for Seattle. And you're going to see as many as 4 wide receivers on a regular basis for Seattle. And that's what we're going to start with here. So a little switch, 4 wide receivers as they begin. We'll call it at their 25-yard line. Moon hands off. Chris Warren, nice gain, gets over the 30. He gets knocked out of bounds at about the 34. Sammy Knight pushes him out. And let's check in on the Saints defense. The front 4, Darren Mickle and sack leader Wayne Martin, Sanga Pulitelli and Joe Johnson. Harvey, Tubbs, and Fields, we told you about them. Molden and the veteran Allen. Anthony Newman, another veteran. And Sammy Knight, the impressive rookie who had a terrific game last week in the victory over Oakland. So Warren gets a first down on that run. Ball up to the 35. Erickson told us they will throw the football quite a bit today. Perhaps even more than normal, which is an awful lot for Seattle. Moon, his first pass. Nobody's open, so he dumps it off to Warren. Warren trying to get out, tripped up Eric Allen, knocks him out of bounds at the 43. So about an 8-yard pickup. And the offense off to a good start.
Yeah, and it is not a timid offense by any stretch of the imagination. You talk about them wanting to put the ball in the air, but while they do that, they also want to get Chris Warren involved. We saw him get to run the ball on first down, and that outlet pass went to him. And Dennis Erickson said, even if we're not going to run the football, we still need to get our running backs involved in the game and realize, because we don't want to go to them late in the ball game and then feel rusty.
New running back is Broussard as Warren goes to the sidelines. 2nd and 2. Ryan Blades in motion. Broussard with his first carry gets the first down and more. Broussard up to about the 48-yard line. Anthony Newman trips him up. And the Seahawk offense moving the ball very well to start. Warren Moon has turned it around. Of course, he became the starter in game 1 when John Freeze broke the thumb. The offense has really clicked under him. Some of the numbers very impressive. Yeah,
right up near the top of the list in first downs and pass yards per game. And this is an offense that Warren Moon said it took me a while to learn it even after I became the starter. He really feels comfortable in the center right now.
On 1st and 10, 4 wide receivers again in the game. Moon, the quick drop. Throws complete to Blades, who dives down to the 45-yard line. Pickup of about 7. Mickey Washington on the tackle.
I think the tough thing for the Saints is trying to really figure out what to do against Warren Moon. You talk to Xavier Uralian, the defensive coordinator. He said, if we blitz the guy, I leave my players on the outside one-on-one, and Warren will spot that. If I only rush 4 guys and we don't get pressure on him, he's going to pick us apart underneath.
2nd and a short 3. The Seahawks making it look easy in the first several plays. Warren, first down to the 40-yard line. Gang tackle there. Mark Fields and Anthony Newman in on the tackle. And Warren looking very sharp early. I think Erickson tripped us up a little bit, James. He said they're going to throw, but Warren has been impressive on the ground.
Well, for the Saints, you also have to think about the fact that they watch one offensive line on film, and then they get in this ball game and they've reshuffled the guys. We mentioned Grant Williams, who had started at left, who's the backup there. He's now moved to right. Howard Ballard is out, and Walter Jones is in. So you're playing against a guy who you haven't seen on film.
Seahawks just marching down the field. Another first down inside the 40-yard line. Some pressure on Moon. He's hit as he throws. Incomplete. Pritchard was the intended receiver, but Mark Fields with some pressure in the backfield, along with Leroy Glover.
Well, Moon tries to hold the ball as long as he can, and that is one of his biggest assets. He'll wait until that last possible minute. He's looking downfield for the deep guy. Finally tries to come off short. They don't give him enough time. They need to lock these guys out at the line of scrimmage. You can't let people get back into Warren Moon's face. That's the one thing that the Saints said. If we can push the pocket and get Warren Moon's face, we can cause problems for him.
The line has done a good job protecting the 40-year-old Moon. But again, Grant Williams is in. Ballard's out with the injury. More pressure. Moon is hit, fumbles the football. Ball still down. They'll have to wait for Mike Carey's official signal. Brady Smith getting in the backfield.
It's 2 plays in a row that Joe Johnson has beat Walter Jones. Right off the line of scrimmage at the snap. Walter Jones doesn't lay a glove on him. Warren Moon is just getting comfortable. He has to step up. Joe Johnson comes in, strips the ball away. It's on the ground. You know, big guys, they can't feel that ball when it's rolling up their leg.
So it was Johnson with the hit. Seahawks recover. 3rd and 19. Moon dumps it off to Warren. Warren a little room ahead of him. Gets down to about the 36. About 6 yards shy of the first down. And 4th down coming up. Mickey Washington grabbing him from behind. An 11-yard pickup. But this will bring on the field goal unit, Todd Peterson. So they moved the football extremely well. In fact, made it look easy. And then all of a sudden, the pressure and the key fumble. So we think actually they're going to punt. They're not going to kick Kyle Richardson, who was just signed earlier this week. Rick Tootin with the full pelvic muscle. So Richardson on. Nearly blocked as Richardson booms it. And this one well into the end zone, a touchback. And that's where the Saints will start at their own 20. So the defense bends, but comes up with some big plays, and New Orleans will go on offense.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper, this is the taste. By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By UPS, the official package delivery company of the NFL. And by Compaq, the most popular computer in the world.
Dennis Erickson's team moved the football very effectively. Against some pressure on Warren Moon, the fumble. They had a 3rd and long and had to punt. Did not go what would have been a 53-yard field goal. And instead, punt. Saints take over at their own 20. Shuler to throw on 1st down. Looks downfield. Incomplete. Had it and dropped it. Willie Williams breaking it up. Intended for Randall Hill. And let's take a look at the Saints offense. Shuler leading the way. The offensive line not bad last week versus Oakland, but they have really struggled overall, both pass blocking and run blocking. In the backfield, Bates and Zellers at times good but very inconsistent. Hastings and Hill, the wide receivers. John Farquhar at the tight end. We see a lot of Irv Smith today, as Smith starting to play better. The backup tight end. 2nd and 10. The handoff. Ray Zellers breaks a couple of tackles. It scoots up to about the 28-yard line. Taken down by Jeremy Lincoln. The Seahawk defense, a good one. Sinclair, the sack leader. Sam Adams. Saliamua starting for the injured Cortez Kennedy, and the emerging Philip Daniels at right end. Linebacking crew with Moss, Wells, Chad Brown having a great year. Jeremy Lincoln starting for Sean Springs along with Willie Williams. Bellamy starts for the injured Benny Blades, and Darrell Williams having a Pro Bowl season at free safety. 3rd and 2. Handoff goes to Bates, and Bates hit right at the line of scrimmage. And he's going to be shy of the 1st down. And Saliamua making the stop. And Mark Royals will come on. It is very quiet in here, James.
Yeah, and these people are waiting for something to happen. But, you know, think back to one series when Seattle has the ball on the 36-yard line, and we say, why don't they try a field goal attempt? They know that if they pin the Saints back, the Saints are having trouble not only scoring. Ditka said, we're having trouble making 1st downs. He said, field goals are huge for us. This is a team that does not move the ball well offensively.
So Royals will punt. Ronnie Harris is back. Harris backs up at the 21. maybe gets 3 yards back. Gerard Cherry, one of the Saints' better special teams players, makes the tackle. 50-yard punt. Say a 4-yard return. Seahawks to take over. We're scoreless in the first.
This is the NFL on NBC.
The presence of Mike Ditka has brought about renewed enthusiasm for the Saints, but still bottom lines, wins and losses. Plenty of empty seats at the Superdome, not only up top, but a lot of no-shows down below. And a very quiet crowd as the Seahawks take over at their own 26. Chris Warren whacked Joe Johnson quickly in the backfield and tackles Warren for a loss.
Now this can become a reoccurring theme during the course of this ball game. We've seen on 3 consecutive plays now that Walter Jones has not been able to handle Joe Johnson. Walter Jones has been out of the lineup, in and out, rookie offensive tackle. He's had that ankle injury, and if you're not 100%, Joe Johnson, you don't hear a lot about him. You know, on this ball club, you hear Wayne Martin. Joe Johnson is a very effective ball player.
And Walter Jones, the 6th overall pick in his past year's draft, has missed 4 games because of that ankle injury. Loss of 3 on the play. 2nd and 13. Moon under pressure. Complete to Galloway. And Galloway dives up to about the 33-yard line. Mark Fields right there to stop him.
Now, Moon tells us he's a little reluctant to get in a guy's face during the course of the ball game and point out that you're not doing your job. But once again, he gets the quick pressure. See Galloway down the field. Zone coverage. He sits down. And job is to get upfield. And in addition to getting upfield, your job is not to get hit too hard.
Galloway, a great young receiver. Warren Moon feels that he can be one of the best, and he's really gotten on him to practice hard, to work hard, to try and be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. 3rd down and 3. And here come flags. We will hear from Mike Carey, our referee today, for the first time.
False start on the offense, number 87, 5 yards. It remains 3rd down.
Crumpler, Mike Carey, a former running back at Santa Clara, the quarterback on his team in college, Dan Pastorini. They were roommates together. And Carey was a very good running back, but an ankle injury his junior year kind of dashed hopes of a pro career, while Pastorini went on
That's what they all say.
I believe him. He's got an honest face. So the penalty makes it a 3rd and 8. Moon to Warren. Warren gets across, knocked out of bounds, very close to the 1st down, and it looks like he got it at about the 37-yard line. Mickey Washington knocks him out, but it's a 1st down for Seattle.
You know, sometimes quarterbacks will scan the field, downfield, and they're looking for receivers, and then when they have the dump off to the running back, they kind of loft the ball out there. It's almost a sense of defeat. I couldn't find my guy open downfield. Warren Moon realizes that you get the ball out to that guy quickly, he can turn upfield and get you the 1st down. It's the same as throwing the ball beyond the mark. If you throw it to a guy in front of the mark and get it to him in a hurry, he'll get you the 1st down.
Warren pretty good out of the backfield. Caught 40 passes last year. Here comes a big rush. Moon looks downfield. And just a little bit ahead of Galloway. He had to get rid of it a little quicker than I think he wanted to. As Eric Allen, good coverage, but the pressure in the backfield again.
Yeah, and an amazing throw by Warren Moon getting hit. But we talked to Warren Moon. We also talked to Eric Allen. Eric Allen likes to look in that backfield and pattern read and figure out what guys are going to do. That time he gives Galloway just enough of a nudge as he gets into the route. Moon said, this guy is smart. He knows that he watches film. He's heard from other guys around the league that Eric Allen watches a lot of film. And Eric likes to, he doesn't call it guess, he says anticipate.
Maybe more film than anybody, or any corner, at least in the NFL. Allen will be 32 years old next week. Moon on 2nd and 10. Under pressure and taken down. Wayne Martin on the sack. Martin now with 8.5 sacks on the season. And that's his 1st in 4 games. He's been bothered by a shoulder injury. And the Saint defense leading the way in that department.
Yeah, and they're just turning it up a notch up front against these guys. Derek Graham and also Grant Williams. Both guys get beat. And when you're a quarterback, and you're starting to get up off the ground, and you see your offensive lineman on the ground getting up, you know it's not a good thing. These guys have got to sit a lot, get the front solidified before they can do anything passing the football.
So another 3rd and long, call it 17. Moon hands off Steve Broussard, and Broussard gets up to about the 37. Winfred Tubbs makes the stop, and 4th down once again. Saints defense coming up with a big play to force the Seahawks to punt.
Well, too many times in the first series. Warren Moon came into this ball game having only been sacked 13 times. In the first 2 series, he's been sacked twice. He's been knocked down twice. He's just getting harassed entirely too much. And Howard Mudd, the offensive line coach, is going to have to get these guys together on the sideline.
Eric Gulliford is back. Gulliford, key reason why the Saints won last week, as Richardson, a very short punt. Gulliford at the 25. And spins, flag of the play, gets up to about the 34-yard line. James McKnight makes the tackle, but a penalty marker. We'll go against Seattle.
You know, they've got good field position here. You know, you have a punter, a guy who just recently got off the plane after a workout to get into Seattle. And there, Bobby April, I'm sorry, Bobby. Bobby looks exactly like Sonny Bono to me.
Holding by the kicker is number 29. That foul is refused. First down. Timeout.
So they like the field position. Bobby April happy with the special teams play. And the Saints take over. Mike Ditka in his first year back on the sidelines with some words of encouragement for Eric Allen. Heath Shuler back to pass on first, and Shuler taken down. Sam Adams on the sack for Seattle. Adams now with 5.5 sacks on the season.
And a lot of slack to pick up for both Dan Salimua and Sam Adams this ball game because Cortez Kennedy is not there. They've been going with that tackle rotation, and guys that get a breather, get to go out, you bring in another all-pro type guy. Now it's just Salimua and Adams, and they have to go out, and he got Keno Hills. And at that position, right guard, Chris Naoli was the #1 pick for this club. He's out on injured reserve. He's going to be their right guard, and they've been struggling to fill that position since his injury.
There you see the first quarter woes. They pretty much extended second, third, and fourth quarter as well. Zellers trying to get outside, but knocked down and thrown. A host of Seahawks in on the tackle, including Dean Wells, Chad Brown, and Philip Daniels.
Mike Ditka talked about his offensive line. He said you line up as an offensive lineman. You have the big guys in front of you, the linebackers right behind those guys, and then a strong safety. And he said, our guys are starting to think too much. They're starting to think the second level. They're starting to think after the combo block on a guy, then we go to the line. He says, just block the guys in front of you.
3rd and 15. Shuler hit hard as he throws, incomplete, and another 4th down coming up. Adams once again in the backfield, and a rough start, which is pretty much the average for the Saints offense. Adams off to a good start for Seattle.
And there's normally one guy breaking down on each play. You go all the way back to the first play of the game. Good protection. Shuler drops back. Throw the ball to Randall Hill. He drops it. And you can't have that when you're struggling. You need guys to make plays when they have the chance to make them. And then when something big, you need a big play later on in the ballgame.
Royals, one of the busiest men in the NFL, to Harris. And Harris tripped up at the 33-yard line as Don Davis comes in and makes the hit on special teams. No score here first quarter from New Orleans. Play on special teams, but a little shaken up on the play. Looks like his wrist. So Seattle will take over at their own 33. Max Strong in at fullback. You're going to need it. So far, Moon has been under pressure when he's looked to throw. So maximum protection. They stay on the ground. Warren hit right away and taken down. Wayne Martin quickly with the hit. The Saints defense, as they've done all year, playing very well, James.
And Dennis Erickson acknowledged that this ball club was tough against the run. He said, when we try and run the football, we're going to spread them out. First play of the ball game, 4 wide receivers, they spread them out. Chris Warren runs for 10 yards off the right side. That time, a conventional set. When you do that, you're playing into the hands of the Saints. It lets them operate their maximum blitz package, and these guys play good when you line up regular against them.
Loss of 1, 2nd and 11. Blades goes in motion. 3 wide receivers. They stay on the ground to Warren. Warren broke a couple of tackles, still going. And finally thrown down at about the 38. Mark Fields and Anthony Newman in there to knock him down.
Well, for those of us who thought that, we'd see Erickson again in this ball game, after the first couple of times that Warren Moon dropped back to pass and getting sacked and getting knocked down, he's going to have to reevaluate his thinking. This is a ball game that's a must-win for the Seattle Seahawks if they expect to stay in playoff contention. And he needs a healthy Warren Moon for them to get this stretch run going.
Moon's only been sacked 13 times coming into the game. He's already been hit several times so far today. 3rd and 3. Moon complete. Galloway really hit hard. I don't know how he held on to that ball, but it's a first down. Seahawks. Eric Allen really whacked him.
Yeah, and Eric Allen may be in danger of getting a letter from Gene Washington, who reviews these type of plays, because once Galloway goes inside and he comes back out, Eric Allen puts that forearm in there, and that forearm to the head, believe me, will cost Eric Allen a minimum of $7,500 come next week.
They'll take a look at the films. Allen with that little extra with the forearm. But a first down as Galloway held on.
It's so tempting, though.
That's spoken by a receiver. 1st and 10. Moon fires incomplete. Brian Blades fell down. Alex Molden was right with him on the coverage. And a 2nd and 10 coming up. So the Seahawks again, they're 6-4. They've won 4 of 5. The momentum. You put this one in a must-game situation for them.
Well, and for the Seahawks, you know, you'd have to be blind as a bat not to realize that they play the Kansas City Chiefs at home next week. We talked to Warren Moon. He said this is maybe the biggest game in the Seattle Seahawks history, at least in the last 10 years. And
since 90.
Yeah, they expect a packed house next week for that ball game, but they must win this ball game, and that's a tough mental hurdle to get over.
2nd and 10, and this is one of those games that you feel you can win. Road game, yes, as Broussard struggling to get going, then breaks a few tackles, gets up to midfield. Allen brings him down.
But it's a play as simple as that. Broussard could have easily taken a 3-yard loss in the backfield there. He wiggles, he worms, and now instead of having a 3rd and 13, they have what should be a makeable for Warren Moon 3rd and a long 6 or 7. That's a lot more tangible. You have a lot more options there, and you also don't have your quarterback holding the ball, waiting for those guys to get open downfield.
Crumpler, the tight end, split out far on the near side. Broussard also split out. On a 3rd down and 6. Big rush. Moon quickly gets rid of it. First down to the 40-yard line as Mike Pritchard holds on. Allen again with another hard hit. But Moon a nice connection, and Pritchard holds on a tough catch.
And they brought 6 guys. You only have 5 guys to block. The Seattle Seahawks said we're going to let the guy on the outside go, and it's up to Warren Moon to deliver the ball. He's going to take a hit there, and hopefully it won't be an immediate impact, but they want to protect Warren Moon from guard to guard because they like to have him be able to step up and throw the football.
So that will end the first quarter. No score. The Seattle on the move. They've got 1st and 10 at the Saints 40-yard line. Holding on to the ball. What do you want to talk about their offense? Anemic, non-existent. There are a few harsh words for that.
I think those would be some positives.
1st down and 10 at the 40-yard line. The Saints 40-yard line. Moon on the ground to Warren, and Warren hit a couple of times still, and scrambles back maybe. Gets back to the line of scrimmage. Brady Smith right in there. Warren Moon will be 41 on Tuesday, and he told us yesterday he hasn't ruled out retirement after 97. He doesn't know yet, but despite the fact that he's playing so well, and it looks like he could play for another 2 or 3 years, it's still a possibility.
Yeah, but he said he would like to go out on top, and you know, I mean, he's watched athletics his whole life, and he's seen guys who have stayed a year too long, or a couple of years too long, and he doesn't want to be one of those guys to do that.
That's very important to him. And certainly he's seen his share of those who hang on. Nice fire to Crumpler, and Crumpler hit hard, but a first down at the 22-yard line. Anthony Newman gave him a shot, but the emerging tight end now making a big play.
Well, Crumpler told me on the field before the game, he said, man, I haven't been getting the ball enough. I'm going to start to become more vocal because Warren really does spread the ball well among Blades, Galloway, and Pritchard. He says, and sometimes he forgets about me. Crumpler started the season off as the 3rd tight end and has worked his way up that ladder. He's really become an important cog in this offense.
18-yard pickup. Dennis Erickson calls him the most pleasant surprise perhaps on offense. Hand off Chris Warren, and Warren gets down to about the 18-yard line. Right now, let's head back to New York, get an NFL update from Greg Gumbel. Greg?
All right, Mike, in Tampa Bay's Eric Rett, second effort gets him in from a yard out to cap an 80-yard Bucks drive in the first quarter, his first touchdown of the year. They've now gone to the second, 7-0, Bucks over the Patriots. Mike?
Thank you, Greg. Big game down there in Tampa as the Patriots trying to get back on track. Seattle's been back on track after opening the season at 0-2. They've won 4 of 5. The only loss was to the Broncos, and they played Denver very tough. 2nd and 7. Moon again. Warren juggles it and drops it. Winford Tubbs was right there ready to give him a hard hit. I don't know if that's one you want to hold on to.
Well, the ball's thrown behind the line of scrimmage, and Tubbs is there to make the stop. The only thing that Chris Warren could have done, catch that ball, put the brakes on immediately, and then make a cutback. And you know, that's kind of fantasy football. That's what the guys in the stands in the booth think about doing. But Tubbs has him from the inside out. Does a good job to drop that ball. I was pretty good at dropping it once in a while, too.
So I feel secure enough in my manhood to say I would have dropped the ball deliberately. 3rd and 7. Crowd for the first time getting excited, a little bit at least. Warren Moon, and Warren again. This one goes through his hands. Alex Molden was right there. And 4th down coming up for the Seahawks. And now we will see Mr. Peterson on for the field goal.
You know, we joked about the fact that he dropped the first one, but Warren Moon wants the guys to catch the football. He's not just throwing it for his health, and his health is in danger if they don't start protecting him from Joe Johnson and Wayne Martin.
And again, because Tootin is out, he holds for Peterson. Kyle Richardson is the new holder, and Erickson said that was more of a concern than Richardson's punting was the holding. And this will be a 36-yard field goal for Peterson, who has been very strong this year. And no problems for Todd Peterson. Seattle offense getting on the board first. Here early second quarter. Richardson does his job holding. And Peterson gives Seattle a 3-0 lead.
Solutions for a small planet.
Todd Peterson, 36-yard field goal, counting for the score thus far. Here's second quarter from the Superdome, along with James Lofton, Mike Breen on hand, and Eric Gulliford, a dangerous return man. A short kick by Peterson. Gulliford comes up at the 9-yard line, running start. Gulliford sees a hole, and Gulliford breaks a couple of tackles, still on his feet, and finally thrown down. Eric Stokes makes the tackle, a 25-yard return for Eric Gulliford, and that gets the crowd going a little bit. And Heath Shuler on the offense, they have been really having their woes, and it continues here so far in the first half today.
Well, he hasn't thrown the ball well, and Heath Shuler is the guy, you know, you come into this league as the first player picked. People expect a lot more out of you, and he said, give me a chance to play and I'll do something. Well, he's gotten his chance. Hasn't done much as of yet.
He's been under pressure throwing the ball. They haven't been able to run it, and that's pretty much what we've seen all season. Mario Bates has some blocking for a change. Bates gets up to about the 39-yard line. Philip Daniels makes the tackle. Bates, who is now, this year for him, it's his 4th year in the league, and he knows he's been inconsistent, and he knows the running game has not been strong, but he says, hey, I'm young, I'm only 24, I'm still confident that I'm going to be a good running back in this league.
Yeah, but the one thing that Mike Ditka says about Bates is he's a guy with great speed, great talent, but he has to learn to push the ball. The holes aren't always going to be there for you. You have to get something out of nothing. Don't get tackled in the backfield for a 2- and 3-yard loss. Get back to the line of scrimmage, get us that positive yardage.
Like a 5-yard game there, so 2nd and 5. Shuler on a play fake, across the middle, and drop. Andre Hastings right there. Willie Williams was there, but Hastings should have brought that one in.
You know, I think the tough thing for Heath Shuler is that there is so much internal pressure. A guy who wants to do well. You know, granted, these guys here on the field are coming at you, guy clipping at your heels, but you have a guy wide open. He throws that in an awkward motion instead of just stepping up into the pocket, gathering himself. He's so concerned. You know, you get knocked down so many times. You're afraid to walk out of the house to get the newspaper in the morning.
He's feeling some external pressure from the Seahawks, but he's lacking a lot of confidence right now. 3rd and 5, intercepted. Darrell Williams, touchdown Seattle. Darrell Williams' 7th interception of the season.
See the frustration by Mike Ditka, but Darrell Williams is a guy who you have to become accounted for. If you're talking about the best safeties in the AFC, I put Darrell Williams right in that same category as Carnell Lake, because not only can you play the middle, come up and make tackles, I mean, this is just a heads-up play. He reads the eyes of Heath Shuler, and Ditka told us, he said, one of the things about young quarterbacks is they lock onto that one receiver, and you line up in a 3rd down situation. Instead of scanning the field, reading the coverage, he gets zeroed into that one guy. And Darrell Williams is smart enough. He's watched him on film enough. 6 the other way.
44-yard return as Darrell Williams, who leads the AFC in interceptions, comes up with a pick and the score.
Well, and Darrell Williams is actually coming up to cover somebody else, but he says, I'm not covering my guy. I'm going to get the ball.
My ancestor dreamt of winning the Highland.
Interception, his 13th of the season. This one leading to a score. Darrell Williams returns it, and the Saints turnovers. A lot of points for the opponent.
And not just turnovers, and the turnovers off of points. We talked about them not giving up the turnover touchdown.
Gulliford at the 2. Gulliford finds another hole, gets past, there he goes. And Gulliford slowed down and run out of bounds, but not before getting in Seattle territory. Darrell Hobbs forced him out. Terrific return from Gulliford, who was the spark in last week's win over Oakland.
Now, when Heath Shuler came into this league, he was touted as a guy with a lot of athletic skills, a lot of talent, somebody who actually runs pretty well. Well, after he throws this interception, he takes off, and he actually has the angle on Darrell Williams. Here's Shuler. He should be able to cut him off at the pass. But Shuler missed practice time this week because of a turf toe. And I think if he weren't injured, he might have gotten him out of bounds.
And Darrell Williams perhaps with a little bit of the hot dog stuff going into the end zone. He doesn't need to do that.
Lots of mustard and relish on that play.
Bates trying to find somewhere to go and goes nowhere. And brought down back to the line of scrimmage. Right now to Greg Gumbel and another update. Greg?
Mike, as an ex-receiver, your partner will appreciate this. Maybe the best catch of the entire season. John Elway of the Broncos rolling out, throwing, and watch Rod Smith come down between 2 defenders with the football. 45-yard pickup helps set up Elway to sharp 5-yard touchdown pass. Denver leads the Chiefs 10-0 in the second, Mike.
Rod Smith or Ahmad Rashad.
As Ray Zellers gets down to about the 40-yard line and hit there. By the way, that Gulliford return was a 54-yarder to give the Saints this good field position. And they've got about a 3rd and 6 coming up. And this is what they've got to get some first downs. David Uralian, the defensive coordinator, said before the game, they've got to move the football. Obviously, by the numbers, they're not even close to moving it.
Yeah, and at the end of the first quarter, what the Seattle offense had been on the field for 12 minutes. These guys have to keep their defense off the field so that they're at least fresh and they can stop more and more.
3rd and 6. Shuler, big rush. Sam Adams with his 2nd sack of the game.
I don't know who is supposed to back up Keno Hills in this ball game, but unless they get a guy in there in place of Hills, who's just struggling today, right there against Adams, I mean, that he just gets thrown out of the way. He takes the inside away, which is what he's supposed to on his initial set. Adams starts upfield and then just swims right back underneath. That's the Jello dance. That's what I call that.
That's frightening to see him gyrate. 4th down. So Ronnie Harris will be back. Royals again trying to place it. Nice punt. And Harris into the end zone. Harris knocking into Besh there as Besh tried to get it.
Yeah, but a good job by Harris. He did call for a fair catch so he can get out and knock that guy off the ball.
10-0 lead for the Seahawks here in the second quarter.
Play by Ronnie Harris, the punt returner, to knock the guy off the ball. Very close to touching the ball there. And Harris has had some tough luck. He's had 2 fumbles in the last 2 ball games, both running for touchdowns. So that's a smart play by Harris on that.
Chris Warren gets up to about the 25. Good job from the line of scrimmage, opening up some room for him.
And I wonder if Ronnie Harris, any of the guys talked to him on the plane after the last couple balls. But Dennis Erickson defended him. He said, "This is the most dependable guy I have." He said, "In the 3 years that I've been here, he's never mucked one. He's never fumbled one. 2 weeks in a row, he had some bad luck. So it's over with, I guess, maybe for Harris for the next 25 years. He doesn't have to worry about fumbling another ball."
One of them was on a kickoff return, and the other on the punt return. And as you said, both back for scores. Raiders and Broncos putting in the scores there. 2nd and 5. Warren getting 5 on that first down play. Warren again gets the call and maybe gets a yard as Leroy Glover makes the tackle. Remember, a first-year player out of San Diego State who's getting a lot more time as the season goes on. He's acquired from the Raiders back in August. Played in the World League this past off season and really gained some confidence from that, doing a nice job for Ditka's defense. There's your 10-0 score. Again, Darrell Williams returning an interception by Shuler, 44 yards. Warren Moon facing a 3rd and 4. 4 wide receivers once again. Moon complete to Galloway. He's got the first down up to about the 42-yard line. There's Joey Galloway with another catch.
Now, same pass that Heath Shuler threw that got intercepted for a touchdown return. Warren Moon waits for Galloway to clear the coverage. This is the guy who intercepted it against Heath Shuler. That time, Warren Moon lets him get past that coverage and fits the ball into Galloway. It's the inside guy that you're really throwing that slant against, not the guy that is out covering the guy.
Rookie Sammy Knight bringing Galloway down. So first down at the 41-yard line. Again, 4 wide receivers in there for the Seahawks. Little blitz, quick throw, incomplete. Broken up nicely by Alex Molden. Here comes a flag, very late. Pritchard was the intended receiver. Molden gets up hobbling, and that's a late flag.
Well, the only reason Molden gets up hobbling is because they threw that flag out.
Pass interference on the defense. Number 25. Automatic. First down.
Crowd unhappy with the call. Let's take a look.
I mean, it's tight coverage. Blades doesn't really get away from him. Comes from the inside. And, you know, he has that left hand on the back, but I've seen it a lot more flagrant than that and not get called. That was pretty touchy right there. If you're in the NBA there, you just let that guy go to the basket.
And Molden being attended to now as he comes out. And the Saints are going to call a timeout. So another first down with a 10-0 lead for Seattle.
This year, one hungry Saints man will have the opportunity.
Job that his goal was to become a coordinator.
No, his goal is to get his son, who's a senior up in New Jersey, a college scholarship. He even made a tape up of the kid dropping back during the offseason, throwing the ball around.
Well, hopefully he'll make a couple of goals. He made the one about being a coordinator as Moon drops back on first down. Moon plenty of time looking downfield, looks for Galloway. And Galloway can't hold on. That one he should have had. Gerard Cherry, who's come in for Molden, and Sammy Knight on the coverage.
Well, Sammy Knight shows us good range on that play because the one knock on Sammy Knight coming out of Southern California was that he doesn't have great speed, so he ends up becoming a free agent. He gets over on this play. He actually outruns it. Galloway can feel his presence there and just kind of goes up awkwardly for the football. Galloway also goes up too early. You know, he has some good hang time, but not enough hang time to stay up on that ball.
Galloway already with 3 catches. He had 3 last week against San Diego, 2 of them for scores, as he's really starting to play well. He had that preseason injury, and now Moon has to call a timeout. Facing a 2nd and 10. Seahawks will call their first timeout here in the first half. So 7:05 remaining here in the second. 10-0. Seattle leads. And now one of my favorite parts of our afternoons, to tell you to follow the NFL online at MSNBCSports.com. NFL insider Gil Brandt explaining why it's too early to write off the Cowboys. And our own Randy Cross takes a humorous look at how the playoff picture is shaping up. I don't think there's anything funny about the playoff picture.
Especially if you're not in it.
Yeah, I guess so. Plus, NFL on NBC analyst Phil Simms and Jets coach Bill Parcells will answer your email questions all on MSNBCSports.com. Mike Ditka.
You think Dick has a computer? Can you see him like surfing the net?
Maybe not. You talk about your old school. He is from there. Told us the other day it's not your right to play in the NFL. It's a privilege, and he tries to let his players know that. But he admits players have changed now that he's back. Moon. And Moon under pressure intended for Galloway. Didn't get it to him. Warren Moon on his behind once again.
Chris Warren had the blitz protection there. Ditka, you know, he's sending guys after him. He's talking to Willie Shaw there, the defensive back coach, and he's saying, you know, if we send guys, are your guys up front going to be able to cover?
He admits it's a different game, said that he's never been this tired at night in his life. And it's been emotionally very stressful for him because he made some promises, wants to keep him here in New Orleans.
Well, he talked about trying to control his temper, and the thing that really gets him are mental errors. He says his guys have played hard, they haven't quit. It's the mental errors that frustrate him.
Moon under pressure on third down, gets rid of it. And he took a shot. Glover in the backfield. Joe Johnson was chasing him as well. And the Saints defense answers the call.
But I think that's where you realize what type of athlete Warren Moon is. At age 40, well, 40 in 363 days, I mean, he takes a shot right there that leaves a lot of quarterbacks on the carpet. Moon got up. He's jogging off the football field now. I mean, you look at his body. I mean, he looks tough. He said there are a lot of guys who are younger than me who look older.
He looks great. And then they fumble the snap. Ball loose. And the Saints will take over at about the 33-yard line. Kyle Richardson just signed this week. And at first glance, it didn't look like the snap was the problem. Rick Tootin out with the injury, and Richardson the man.
I mean, the snap is just a little offline, but obviously he should have been able to handle it. I think that Kyle Richardson peaked at the pressure that was coming because they're coming after him. See, his eyes aren't down on that ball. He knows that they're coming after him to try and block this punt.
And Chris Hewitt apparently recovering. And great field position. Richardson, who's a terrific athlete, but that time unable to show the mobility. Former quarterback in high school. First and 10 at the 33-yard line. Flea flicker. No, he's going to hold on to it. Mario Bates. And Bates gets down to about the 27. A little razzle-dazzle. Looked like I don't know if he wanted to give it back to Shuler and decided not to, if that was the play.
Now, what happened there's such great penetration by Dan Saliamua. He gets out in front of the play. Bates has no alternative but to cut back. Look at the penetration there coming from Saliamua. He just gets in front of the play. Bates says, hey, I can't go that way. A 360 back in the other direction. Bates picks up a couple of blocks. It's always nice to see the quarterbacks attempt to block.
When he went back, his right arm came out. It almost looked like he was going to pitch, but obviously not the case. So 2nd and 3. And they still pick up 7 on the broken play. Mario Bates. And he's cut down. Terrific play from Willie Williams, who's having a very strong year for Seattle.
But what I like from Seattle, you get a turnover deep down in your own territory, and 2 plays in a row. They defeat the New Orleans Saints at the line of scrimmage. You get quick penetration in the backfield. Chad Brown taking on the tackle. Willie Williams coming up, and then Willie Williams gives us the little, I guess that's the mini Hercules pose.
Greg McMackin, the defensive coordinator, who's also done a superb job, especially after the slow start. 3rd down and 8. Saints now with 4 wide receivers. Shuler throws complete. Down to about the 17, a first down. Eric Gulliford hauls it in. And Gulliford trying to get the crowd fired up.
Gulliford has fought his way back in this league after being suspended during the 1996 season. He went to Canada on the advice of Bill Polian, who was the general manager of the Carolina Panthers, and got his way back into this league and is really proving to be a great bargain. He's a minimum wage guy, $196,000. Well, those guys, they'll tear up his deal for next year.
He tested positive for marijuana and sat out a year, at least from the NFL. As you mentioned, kept playing, and there's penalties.
And I think that was a smart move by Gulliford, because a lot of guys sit out, they go home, they get fat. He kept himself in shape and has turned into a very productive player for the Saints.
Encroachment by the defense, number 97. 5 yards, still a first down.
Sally Amua on the penalty. By the way, that first down to Gulliford, that is the initial first down of the game for the Saints.
I mean, it is imperative for the Saints psyche here. You have the ball in the red zone, first down at the 12-yard line to come away with points. You don't want to start a drive where you go backwards. Last week against the Raiders, they had so many penalties on one drive, they ended up 1st and 44.
An offense trying to get some confidence. This is a very important series for them. Mario Bates. And Bates taken down quickly. Dean Wells making the tackle.
But Bates did exactly what Mike Ditka wanted him to on that play. He pushed the pile forward. There wasn't a gaping hole for Mario Bates to run through. Put his shoulder down. He got the extra yardage over Dean Wells.
There's been flashes from Bates. But again, both Bates and Zeller's inconsistent. That's been the running game for the past several years here in New Orleans. A second down and 2. Mario Bates again leads forward, very close to a first down. Seattle leading 10-0, just over 3.5 remaining in the second quarter. Philip Daniels helping on the stop there.
You know, right in that middle we talked about for the Seattle Seahawks. You're getting kind of late in the second quarter. They don't have that tackle rotation. We've seen Sam Adams play well. We've seen Dan Salimua in the backfield. Cortez Kennedy would give them that fresh body. And when you're carrying around 320 pounds of body, you like it to be fresh once in a while. 3rd and 1 now for New Orleans.
Shuler himself, and he appears to have the first down. This field position set up by the fumbled punt. Kyle Richardson, the punter, did not handle the snap, and the Saints able to grab it and trying to turn it into some points. See on the spot.
This is a first down. I mean, I've got the bird's eye, eagle eye view up here. I've got that 26 vision, not 20/20, not 20/26. I mean, I can see from way up here.
Please explain that to me.
That means that I can see a first down spot even if I were outside the dome. This is by about 2.5 inches. First down.
You know what?
You know, I've got a bad angle.
This is with all respect to the
first
Saints.
down.
Oh, they did give it to him.
Yeah, 2.5 inches.
You know, I was hoping they didn't get it, just to keep you quiet for a while.
I can sense a first down.
Okay.
Dick is on his 3rd pack of gum right now, too.
The 26 vision.
He told us yesterday he wasn't going to wear the headset when they were on offense because he didn't want to interrupt Danny Abramowitz's flow of calling the plays. Well, they've got a chance to be in the ball game, and I believe Iron Mike wants to be involved.
And Kyle Richardson seeing his fumble, leading to a 1st and goal at the 7 for the Saints. That's Bates in motion. Ray Zellers tripped up and hit right away, and a penalty marker comes in. And that's the last thing Mike Ditka wants to see, but he's got it. A costly penalty for the Saints.
And what it is, Dan Salimua doesn't make the tackle, but he makes the play by his penetration. He makes the offensive lineman grab him because of the quick penetration.
On the offense, number 62, 10 yards. It remains first down.
Jerry Fontenot is Winston Moss limping off the field. Well, we'll see if it's a costly penalty. It's going to move them back. And the Seahawks certainly have had their share of injuries. It's amazing they've turned it around, and they've had a lot of key players knocked out. Kennedy, as we mentioned, Sean Springs, their rookie cornerback, he's out for a while. 1st and goal now at the 17. Hand off to Zellers, and Zellers with a big hole. Zellers all the way down to the 2-yard line. Darrell Williams finally brings him down. Well, that play caught the Seahawks by surprise.
It really did. When he turned to hand that ball off, I'm thinking, you know, this is a give-up call. You know, down here, you think we need to throw the football. The Saints really crossed him up. Guys running around blocks.
2-minute warning here in the first half. At the 2, Saints trailing 10-0. 2 minutes remaining. First half here in New Orleans. Shuler, the handoff. And maybe down to the 1. Zellers again. More pushing and shoving after the whistle. Chad Brown making a big stop. So 3rd and goal coming up now at the 1.
Every play in this drive, they've gone directly between the guards, and I don't see them deviating from that here at all.
3rd and goal at the 1. Bates. Did he get in?
He never got up.
Nope. And Bates thrown backwards. So 4th and goal. Winston Moss in on the stop. And the sparse crowd urging Ditka to go for it. And it looks like he will. So Mike Ditka had a big 4th down call last week go his way against Oakland.
Well, they just put in Fred McQuarrie, who is now going to line up at fullback. They're going to move Zellers back to the tailback position and give him a shot at getting over the top.
They go to Zellers, and Zellers, touchdown Saints. That is a huge score for New Orleans. Excellent blocking on the offensive line, and Mike Ditka pumped up about that touchdown. Ray Zellers, the big play is that 14-yard pickup on 3rd and goal from the 17, or 2nd and goal. And now the extra point for Doug Bryan. Coming up short without a score on that one, James, would have been devastating for the Saints.
Yeah, to go in the locker room after not having scored there. You know, you talk about devastating. Kyle Richardson, you see him standing amongst all his friends on the sideline.
So Richardson on the snap of the punt, fumbling that. That set up this score. Ray Zellers makes it a 10-7 game. Seahawks in front here in the 2nd quarter.
Who are they?
Zellers, that's his 2nd rushing touchdown of the season. 3rd year out of Notre Dame. Zellers and Mario Bates taking a lot of heat in New Orleans over the last couple of years. Bryan will kick off. Ronnie Harris once again deep for Seattle with 37 seconds to play here in the first half. Harris at the 4. No, that's Broussard. Steve Broussard. And Broussard running out of bounds at about the 23-yard line. And a flag way back at the 37-yard line. Mike Carey will let us know. Bobby April, who is one of the best special teams coach in the NFL, not happy with that penalty.
Well, I think the tough thing here for the Seahawks.
Offsides on the kicking team. Number 59, 5 yards, re-kick from the 25-yard line.
Keith Mitchell on the penalty.
And you have New Orleans re-kick, but you've lost 6 seconds on the play clock. And you're trying your best to get the ball downfield. You know, granted, this will give them a couple extra yards, but if they get a longer return, it's going to take more time off the clock.
Mike Ditka, who was in the news this week, not only for the victory over the Raiders, but of course for that sideline exchange of money with his defensive coordinator, Xavier Uralian.
Well, what surprised me the most is that he had money in his pocket to start with. And Ditka said, you know, I was wearing my lucky pants. I didn't wear my, quote, coach's pants, because normally a coach will come to the game, change his clothes, you leave your valuables in the locker room. Ditka just happened to have some extra cash on him. I'm surprised. I didn't know Ditka made that much money down here.
He admitted it was a stupid thing to do, knew it was harmless, but says he has as much respect for the NFL as anyone, and was mad at himself for doing it. The NFL notified him, talked about it. As of last I've heard, have not fined him.
Now he just carries a credit card during the game.
Yeah. And Uralian felt terrible because he kind of instigated it on the sideline because they had made the bet about not allowing Tim Brown his favorite reception. Broussard. And Steve Broussard gets up to about the 29. Here in the final seconds of the second quarter. And of course, coming up, the NBC Domino's Pizza halftime report. All the scores, highlights with Sam Weiss, Chris Collinsworth. They're going to pick coach and players of the year. A little early for that, isn't it? What do you think?
It's a little early, but you know they're in the crystal ball business.
All right, give me two guys for coach of the year.
Well, I think Dennis Erickson has to get a nod there, but you know it's still early. I mean, you have 6 ball games to go. And there are teams that are up and down. And Bill Parcells and Tony Dungy.
2 very good choices. Moon hands off to Warren. Warren slowed down and maybe gets a yard. And there's a marker coming in late from the backfield. 18 seconds remaining.
Yeah, that's just one of those 5-yard ones where you touch the face mask.
So it goes against the Saints.
You know, with
Warren,
that run
James.
on first down, I think they're just content to let the clock run out.
Warren hobbling a little bit after that play. Again, they're already. Let's hear from
Face
Gary
mask
first.
on the defense, number 93, 5 yards only, first down.
Wayne Martin. Again, Lamar Smith is already out. There's a fractured fibula. Now Warren getting the brunt of the carry. Steve Broussard also getting some work as well.
And they hope to have Lamar Smith back in a couple of weeks. He was actually out doing some running before the ball game today. And he said, I do more running before the game now trying to get healthy than I get to do during the game.
Trying to keep himself in a little shape. And now Moon. Yeah, hands off. Warren apparently okay. Gets a couple of yards. Wayne Martin makes the tackle. Final seconds here in the first half. Started off very slowly as the Seahawks jumped out to a 10-0 lead. Darrell Williams, a 44-yard interception return for a score. And then Kyle Richardson, the recently signed punter, fumbled the snap, and the Saints took advantage, scoring late in the second quarter. So Mike Ditka trying to win 2 in a row. Saints 3-7 on the season, coming off the victory over the Raiders. Would love to make it 2 straight. As for Seattle, still hoping for their first playoff berth since 1988. They're 6-4, and this is a big game for them heading into Kansas City next week.
It's important about this ball club.
And the turnovers that led to points for both teams. Darrell Williams, the interception of Heath Shuler, returned at 44 yards for a score. And then Kyle Richardson, the new punter for Seattle, fumbling the snap. And that led to a score for the Saints. As Seattle will kick off here to start in the third quarter. Todd Peterson. And the squibber. Gulliford picks it up at about the 16, dances and prances around, gets across the 30, and a flag comes flying in as Gulliford gets up to about the 32-yard line. And let's take a look at what the penalty is. James Logan making the tackle. So it'll be poor field position to start for New Orleans. That, of course, was the key in their one touchdown drive. Shuler and the offense really played poor.
You know, even with them in this ball game, 10-7, I think if Heath Shuler commits another grievous error like he did in the first half, that Ditka won't hesitate to pull him.
Well, he certainly has not hesitated during the course of the year. As you see, the interception, breaking up all the punts, 3 and outs, and then finally able to punch it in. Troy Davis, the rookie out of Iowa State, meanwhile, and Ray Zeller's in the backfield, so Davis is going to get a little opportunity. They started their 22. That's Ray Zellers. And Zellers manages to get up to close to the 30-yard line. Darrell Williams tripping him up. Zellers had the big play for the Saints offensively in the first half, that 14-yard pickup after the penalty, and then he had the 1-yard run on 4th down to give the Saints their only score.
Well, the interesting thing about Zellers is that he is kind of a combo back. He's half fullback. He's a pretty good blocker, but he's also able to run the ball and catch the football like a halfback does. And he has, I think Ditka likes his size and he likes his aggressiveness.
Bates, by the way, back in. Davis goes to the sideline. Mario Bates, nowhere to go for Bates. Maybe back to the line of scrimmage. And a 3rd and short coming up. Phillip Daniels, an emerging star for the Seahawks. He makes the stop. Daniels now in his second year out of Georgia. The 4th-round pick last year. Has had some injury problems. Sprained his knee in game 4, missed 4 weeks. Finally got back in the starting lineup last week. But they feel that he can become a big-time player. 3rd and 1 coming up. And the Saints are going to have to call timeout. So Shuler burns one early. 10-7 Seattle leads early 3rd.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper, this is the taste. By Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By Fidelity Investments, where 12 million investors put their trust. And by Castrol Syntec, the full synthetic motor oil that protects in ways other oils can't.
3rd and 1 from their own 31. 4 wide receivers in a game for the Saints here in the 3rd quarter. And straight up the middle for Ray Zellers. And he's got the first down. Saints haven't had a lot of them, but Zellers has made some nice plays, and they'll move the chains. Of course, it hasn't all been certainly the running back's fault, as we mentioned earlier. The offensive line has struggled, and Mike Ditka, plain and simple, says they've got to play better. Even William Rofe, who's one of the best at left tackle, he's got a turf toe today, but he has not had a typical year for him.
Yeah, and I think if you play on the offensive line, you can fall into that trap of blaming the other guy on every other play. Somebody's making a mistake up front.
But they get the first down that time. Shuler to pass on first down. Throws incomplete, and there's the flag. A lot of contact from Jeremy Lincoln.
Well, Lincoln is protesting that Randall Hill pushed off on him.
Protest will not do any good. So pass interference and another first down for New Orleans.
I talked to Randall Hill before the ball game, and he thought that Jeremy Lincoln would be the guy that they would take their shots on. Lincoln was under Ditka before. Lincoln, who plays for the Seahawks, was actually a Chicago Bear at one time. So they kind of have the book on this guy, and they figure that if there's a guy who we can take deep in this ball game, it's going to be Jeremy Lincoln. Last week, Tony Martin got to him for a long touchdown reception when they played against the Chargers.
Lincoln starting in place of Sean Springs, a terrific rookie out of Ohio State. Springs, who broke a thumb. So another first down for the Saints. Shuler on a play fake under pressure, gets away. Michael Sinclair knocks the ball loose. And the Seahawks look to pounce on it. And it looks like it's going to be Seattle ball. Yes, it is. Seahawks have recovered. Winston Moss and Chad Brown were right there.
You know, Shuler's been in the league for his 4th year now, but it's that transition of going from the pros to college. You have to realize that everyone's fast around you. They're calling this Saints ball.
Might carry the official. They're going to discuss
Winston
it.
Moss and Chad Brown are fighting over this ball. They actually squirted away from each other.
The initial signal from Carey was that Seahawks recovered. But then a Saint came out of the pack with the ball, and they'll discuss it. I think these are the toughest. I mean, when you scramble and get guys out under the pile, when they're both holding on to it. Dennis Erickson anxiously waiting. Trying to move away from the players. Someone's going to explode at this decision.
The fumble was covered by Seattle. First down, then taken away later.
Yeah, and I think that's a correct call, because you could have a guy have possession down on the bottom of a pile, and if you're not the biggest guy there, somebody else can take the ball away from you. But once you have the ball, it's in your possession. See, they have it. The two of them have it.
Farquhar got in there late, but Chad Brown and
Andy
Winston Moss had it.
McCullum, number 67, actually comes up with the ball.
So Shuler with his second turnover. Michael Sinclair forcing the fumble. And Seattle will take it over. Saints are actually moving the football a little bit offensively, something we had not seen.
And Seattle has not been able to mount a touchdown drive against the Saints defense.
Chris Warren on the pitch. Warren with some room to run. And rumbles down to about the 43-yard line. Alex Molden makes the tackle.
I would say the surprise for Dennis Erickson's team is that they have run the ball better on first down than what they thought they would have coming into this ball game. But they haven't been able to find the areas to throw the football down the field very often.
So they want to take advantage of the turnover. Again, New Orleans came into this game with a takeaway giveaway ratio of -18. Warren's numbers started off strong. Gets the call again, and Warren very close to a first down near the 38-yard line. Brady Smith makes the stop. And the Superdome has been very quiet again, James.
Derek Graham is very slow to get up right now, too. And you talk about a team that is already down an offensive lineman with Howard Ballard being out. You take Derek Graham, you put him down. You have to dig a little deeper on the bench to get a guy to come in. Frank Beatty will probably be the guy to come in and replace Graham at right guard.
They only have 2 backup offensive linemen, Beatty and James Atkins. Again, Howard Ballard inactive today. And we'll take a timeout. Early third quarter, Seahawks lead the Saints 10-7. Derek Graham shaken up. He comes out. Frank Beatty, who started a couple of games already for him, is into the game. And on 3rd and 1, it looks like Seattle has it. So Howard Ballard, who was declared inactive, broke a bone in his right arm in practice. He had 138 consecutive starts. That was stopped today.
He broke what on you and I would be a small bone, but on him is still a big bone. he doesn't have any small bones in his body. I mean, he was the original really big offensive lineman. Nicknamed House.
What would your nickname be then along those lines? Hut? Warren Moon to throw, looks downfield. Galloway comes back and is knocked out of bounds. Nice adjustment from Joey Galloway.
And he's telling all the cheerleaders, you know, what a nice catch that was. I mean, he had spun the defensive back around. And then not only that, he has to spin around himself at the tail end of the route.
16-yard pickup. And that's a nice catch. Mickey Washington knocks him out. I don't think he said that to the cheerleaders.
I think he's talking to the cheerleaders.
I think you're making that up.
No.
I'm sure you never did that in your days as receiver. You're concentrating on the game.
Yeah, but once you cross those stripes, it's hard to keep your concentration.
1st and 10, ball now at the 21. Moon looks, almost intercepted. And a late flag coming in once again. Moon threw it into traffic. And that one nearly picked off by Sammy Knight.
Well, and we're going to have a conference here because the official behind the play threw the flag and he saw the contact on Galloway, but I think the defensive guy had gotten to the ball prior to that.
There was no foul for pass interference against the defense. The ball was tipped.
Here Warren Moon saying ball was not tipped.
Well, it was touched by the safety. I don't know if it was tipped by a lineman at the line of scrimmage. It's the same play that they ran for a touchdown last week, and the Saints are all over it. Sammy Knight is there, and Eric Allen is right behind him on the coverage. I really couldn't tell that ball was tipped. But you know, the officials, when it's tipped, somebody will give that sign at the line of scrimmage and signify that it has been tipped.
Wayne Martin looked like he may have gotten a piece of it, but it's 2nd and 10. Moon pumps, dumps it off to Warren. Warren cuts back and down to about the 17-yard line. Joe Johnson makes the tackle. Derek Graham, by the way, has a foot sprain. Nothing major, so he's expected to return.
Now, is it not major because it's not your foot?
It's not major because he's going to come back in.
But I think you're kind of speculating because it's not your foot.
I have a high threshold of pain.
If that was your foot, oh, we'd have you carted out of this place by now. Get me to the hospital.
3rd and 6 now. 10-7, Seattle leading. Still early here in the 3rd quarter. Moon under pressure again, dumps it off. Warren makes a nice catch, but he's going to be way shy of the first down. Eric Molden once again right there to make the tackle.
Nice coverage in the secondary by the Saints. What they're saying to Warren Moon, you're going to have to throw the ball in front of us. We're not going to give you anything behind us. We're not going to give you that seam pattern that you like to Galloway. You're going to have to throw the ball in front. We're going to come up and make the tackle, force you to kick the field goal.
Todd Peterson is on. Peterson already with a 36-yarder. And this one from 33. Peterson pushed it right. And the Seahawks come away empty. Dennis Erickson. Nope, I don't think so, Coach. Peterson misses it, and the score remains 10-7. Todd Peterson had made 12 consecutive field goals, but misses a 33-yarder. Kickers look at film.
Yeah, but you saw him look at that. He folded it up. He almost ripped it up, too. He's so upset. You know, he doesn't want to blame it on the holder, but that's such a critical aspect of kicking the football.
And then Kyle Richardson is the new holder. Heath Shuler looking under pressure. Nobody was open. And Shuler now makes the run and slides in. Saliamua dives over him. And Shuler maybe back to the original line of scrimmage.
Well, he's looking at Hastings, and Hastings started to run an out and up and just didn't finish the up part of the route. And Shuler's back there scrambling around and trying to save his life at the tail end of the play.
Shuler was pursued by Seattle, actually expressed interest in the offseason. Kansas City, Green Bay. And he's got all the physical ability, but just not there in terms of confidence. Second down at 10, 4 wide receivers. Shuler, and this one complete. Hastings up at about the 33-yard line. Jeremy Lincoln makes the tackle.
You know, you talked about Shuler and all the athletic abilities. When he came out of college, he was listed as a great athlete, but not really a good passer. And it befuddles me that to take a guy, number one, who's not a great passer, and say, okay, he's an athlete, we're going to turn him into a passer.
They mark it at the 34, so it's good for a first down. Hastings, the second leading receiver behind Randall Hill. Bates and Zellers again in the backfield. Play fake. Shuler out of the backfield, and Chad Brown right there to make the play. Knocked out of bounds at about the 37-yard line. Ray Zellers unable to get anything going.
Yeah, how about Chad Brown? And he's wearing this number 94, and he told us, he said, you know, this is the 90s, and you know, to be hip, if you're going to play linebacker, you wear 90 something. It used to be that without a linebacker, you think of Dick Butkus, number 51. But he says now you play linebacker, you want to wear 90s because that connotates speed.
I guess it's a Generation X thing. I don't know. I didn't quite follow that. 2nd and 6. And Brown told us yesterday. Flags on the play. Farquhar gets tackled right away at the 41-yard line. Let's see the mark. Chad Brown may be coming over.
Offside on the defense, number 70, 5 yards, second down.
Sinclair, Michael Sinclair on the penalty.
Now, I thought Chad Brown was early. You know, he got into that neutral zone. He got back, and he made Sinclair good. Yeah, talk to Chad Brown with it's that snake business to pro exotics. I mean, that's Chad Brown there all the way. I mean, he's still offside. They give it to Sinclair. But what did Chad Brown tell us? The hot Christmas gift is the baby green tree python.
Yeah.
I don't think that would go over well in my home.
Get one for your loved one. Second down and 1. Ray Zellers hit right away at the line of scrimmage. Be fortunate if he even got back there. Maybe a second effort. Brown looking at the spot. Brown, of course, signed the big deal to come over from Pittsburgh. He says every article that's written about him, it says Chad Brown, 6 years, $24 million. It's like part of his name this year, and he admits it's been very tough. He puts high expectations on himself and says it has not been an easy year from that standpoint, but he also says he's really starting to feel like it's starting to click in, and his line to the defensive coaches was, check me out in a couple of weeks, you'll see the real Chad Brown, and it's starting to occur. Very high standards for himself. 3rd and 1. And hit hard. Zellers trying to still go, and no, stop. Jeremy Lincoln came up with a second tackle. Brown hit him initially. And some fine defensive work from the Seahawks.
You know, sometimes guys don't make a play, and it's because they don't give the ultimate effort. Chad Brown comes up, I mean, he hits Ray Zellers right there in the hole. Zellers gets off of him, runs through the tackle, Jeremy Lincoln, and it takes 3 or 4 other guys from the secondary to finally bring him down.
Crowd booing because Mark Royals is coming on, but this is a smart play from Mike Ditka.
But I think the tough thing about giving Zellers the ball is he is your best blocking back. So when he's not running the ball, conversely, you have Mario Bates, who was benched earlier in the year because he's not a good blocker.
And a fake, and there's penalty markers. So let's again sort this one out. The Saints pretty irate. Kendall Gammon very upset. He's hollering at Mike Carey.
There is no play. The snap was gone before the umpire had a chance to get to position. 4th down over.
And Bobby April, special teams coach. It did happen very quickly. Dave Arnold, special teams coach for Seattle, and the Blues here at the Superdome.
You can run trick plays, but you can't run a play that is unsportsmanlike, that's so fast that the officials don't have time to get ready and get out and do all that other stuff.
I would assume Royals were punted here. Ronnie Harris is back. Royals gets off. Good high kick. Harris backtracks and calls a fair catch at the 6. He's got to let that one go in. And Seattle will take over. They lead 10-7, but they're back at their own 6-yard line to start. There's the fake punt that went awry.
And what Coach Bobby April has to do is get this official out of the way. Tell him, we're running this play. You need to get back out of the way so that we can get it off. You know, he's not in position, and because he's not in position, they don't get a play.
And then they punt, but an excellent punt from Royals. First down for Seattle. Warren gets the call. And a couple, no more than that. And again, the Saints defense going to have to hold off the opponent. Winford Tubbs in on the tackle. As Mike Ditka has said, when you're talking about his defense, they're the victim of the mistakes by the offense. And the offense just has never got going at all this season. And the defense, I mean, they're 4th in the NFL in terms of rating, but it's even more impressive in how inept their offense has been. 2nd and 8. Warren again. Warren breaks some tackles and gets up to about the 13-yard line. Chris Hewitt in on the tackle.
I mean, a critical series for New Orleans in this ball game. You know, they haven't had a lot of chances to really keep Seattle back. As you mentioned, normally it's the offense from New Orleans that gives good field position to the other team's offense. And then Xavier Ureli, he's trying to pull something out of the bag to keep Seattle down here where they have to punt. They need a 3 and out right here to keep the crowd behind. It's the first time we've heard the crowd all day long.
3rd and 4. Saints showing blitz. Moon, quick drop, fires, complete. Very close to the first down.
Not a good spot at all.
James McKnight made the catch. Eric Allen right there.
Yeah, and we have an official from the other side of the field who's going to spot this up about 3 yards further than what the guy on the play side called, which is the correct spot.
So a first down for Seattle. First reception of the game for McKnight, who's the 4th wide receiver.
And Warren Moon got that in front of Eric Allen. You know, he's dragging him backwards, and then he's slung backwards out of bounds.
He caught it beyond the first down marker, although they have it very close to the 20.
He got a good spot from the other side, a bad spot from this side.
Moon looks downfield. Did Pritchard have it? No, incomplete.
1 foot in bounds, 1 foot out of bounds.
Sammy Knight there on the coverage. Hey, Farrell says, okay.
You know, Warren sees this guy open, and he does. A lot of quarterbacks will take this ball and throw it 60 yards up the field. He tries to get it to him so that he has a chance to catch the ball. He gets the right foot in bounds, and then the left foot comes down on the white.
That's a heck of an effort, but it's still 2nd and 10. Mike Pritchard, his 7th year out of Colorado. Ball at their own 19. Warren. And Warren with a nice run gets across the 25 up near the 27-yard line. Setting up like a 3 at about 2. Right now, let's go back to New York to the studio, get an update with Greg Gumbel. Greg?
All right, Mike, we'll take you down to Tampa, where the Bucs are having themselves a pretty good time this afternoon. Trent Dilfer, 7-yard touchdown pass to Dave Moore. 3rd straight game, Moore's caught a TD toss. And with the extra point, the Bucs with a 17-point lead on the Patriots in the 3rd. Mike?
Thank you, Greg. Patriots need to play the Bills again.
Where has the offense gone for New England? They've gone straight down the tubes offensively in the last 5 ball games.
3rd down and 3 for the Seattle offense. Broussard goes in motion. Moon intercepted. And tripped up Richard Harvey at the 21-yard line. Harvey's first interception of the season.
Well, a ball that's thrown a little bit behind Max Strong, in and out of the hand. You know, Warren Moon has such a strong arm, and he has good touch most of the time. Puts a little bit too much on this ball and gets it really too far behind him. Bounces right off the shoulder pads and into the hands of Richard Harvey.
Max Strong had it ricochet off him, and Harvey returns it 7 yards down to the 21.
It's the 2nd time that the Saints have gotten the ball in good field position. Last time after the fumbled punt snap. This time after an interception by their defense.
Harvey, the leader of the young linebacking crew. Shuler kicks it out. Mario Bates. Bates fumbles the football. Still loose, and the Seattle Seahawks have recovered. Just like that, back-to-back turnovers, and the Seahawks dodge a bullet there.
When Shuler tossed that ball to Bates, the first thing that flashed in my mind is that this is going to be a run pass. Great time to try a trick play. Instead, they put the ball on the ground.
Sam Adams, 2 sacks and that forced fumble on Mario Bates. Seattle gets the ball back at their own 20. They lead 10-7 late here in the 3rd. Moon. Galloway has it knocked away by Alex Molden. Excellent defensive play from Molden. Check that, it was Mickey Washington.
You know, the one thing about Joey Galloway with 4.25 speed, he gets right up on the guy, but he never really threatens him deep. You can tell by his run and his gait that he's getting ready to come out of that. And Mickey Washington does a great job in getting that right arm in there and then striking the ball away. Galloway, in some form or fashion, has to make this guy believe he's going to blow by him.
2nd down and 10. Warren gets the handoff. A little hesitation and a good run from Warren all the way up to the 28-yard line. About 2 yards shy of the 1st down. Hewitt makes the stop.
Well, Chris Warren is doing a good job in just picking his way through the guys. His offensive linemen are trying to stay on their blocks, and the Saints are getting penetration up front. They're getting in the gaps, getting those creases, and he's doing a good job in just slide. And when you talk about the book on Chris Warren, he's a glider and a slasher, and he's running true to form today.
8-yard pickup, 3rd and 2. Galloway in motion. Boom, the quick drop. Knocked down at the line of scrimmage, incomplete. Wayne Martin appeared to knock it down. Joe Johnson was also in the vicinity as the Saints defense stopping Seattle again. So Kyle Richardson, of course, one of the key plays of the game. He fumbled the snap. Saints recovered. They wound up scoring. Richardson played 3 games earlier this season with the Dolphins, was released, and just signed this week with the Seahawks. Gulliford drifts back, starts at the 27. Gulliford breaks outside. And Gulliford down the sidelines. Richardson finally knocks him out of bounds at the 44-yard line. A 31-yard return from Eric Gulliford.
you look at the field position that the Saints have been granted in this ball game, through the special teams department, through their defense, they need to start to generate some points because they don't want those missed opportunities to start to pile up, because this is a ball club that can easily get in that mode of, here we go again. Things are happening to us. We're getting this bad luck, and we just can't win ball games. This is where they need to really cash in all their chips.
Gulliford set up the winning touchdown with a return last week against Oakland. The ball now at the Seattle 45. Final minute, third quarter. Zellers gets a nice block, and Ray Zellers gets down to the 38. Winston Moss tracks him down from behind.
They're doing a great job on Dean Wells. When they pull two guys to get out in front of the sweep, somebody has to go through and get the middle linebacker. There's Dean Wells. He should be able to get out in front of this play, but you see him just hesitate, and then he goes up into the line and he gets picked off. He has to be able to read that play and get down the line of scrimmage and get out in front of it. The other guys are looking around wondering, where's our middle linebacker?
And that will end the third quarter. 10-7, Seattle leading. We'll be back after these messages and a word from your local station.
This telecast is presented by the authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the NFL is prohibited.
There's Danny Abramowitz, the offensive coordinator, and he has to find out a way to come up with some passing yardage in this ballgame. The Saints only have 21 yards throwing the football. He has to get Hill or Hastings a big play. They can't try and just grind it out on the ground.
Fred McCrary, the blocking fullback, is in. That's him in motion. 2nd and 3. Hanks with his good position. And Saliamua racing across the line of scrimmage. Again, this good field position set up by Gulliford's punt return. Not anything the offense did.
Neutral zone infraction on the defense, the right tackle. 5 yards, the measurement gives up. First down.
So Saliamua gives the Saints a first down.
And, you know, a lot of these guys who get off on the ball this quickly, they anticipate. He sees that guy go back in motion the other way, and he says, when that guy goes in motion, I know something's about to happen. When he comes back my way, they're about to snap. He's just a little early on the snap.
Saliamua, again, not used to playing this much. He was a backup to Kennedy, and now he's starting, playing a lot more. 1st and 10, ball at the 33. Shuler on a play fake, chased by Sinclair, throws downfield, caught. Hill's got it and dives out of bounds at the 19-yard line.
You know, Randall Hill is one of those exuberant wide receivers. I remember him at the University of Miami. When he catch a ball, he would thrust his hands up in the air. We talked about Abramowitz getting the wide receivers involved, and Shuler does a good job in movement on this. But Hill, I don't want to get hit. If I dive out of bounds, nobody can hit me.
So that's the first catch for Randall Hill. He's the team's leading receiver. And it gives them a first down at the 19. Herb Smith, backup tight end in motion. Shuler throws, Zellers has it. And Zellers chased out of bounds by Chad Brown inside the 5, down to the 2-yard line.
Chad Brown is best when he has to attack the football. You see him step up, and then he finally sees his pass. He tries to grab on for all dear life. Zellers continues on his route. Shuler has enough time in the pocket to get the ball to Zellers. See, you can see Shuler limping. That turf toe is bothering him, but he's not going to come out of this football game. They have a chance to win it, and he has the chance to be the hero.
A 17-yard pickup. Zellers helping out of the backfield. 1st and goal. The ball at the 2. McCrary and Zellers.
And the whole sideline is trying to call timeout.
And then they finally, I don't know if they heard him or saw him, but the Saints use their 2nd timeout here of the half. They're threatening at the 2. Saints fans on the edge of their seats, I guess you could say, here at the Superdome. They've got a 1st and goal at the 2. I thought he was going to sit down when he thought he was on TV. The pride factor was diminishing. 1st and goal at the 2. Saints trailing 10-7 here early in the 4th. Troy Davis, the rookie, and Ray Zellers in the backfield. They give to Zellers. Zellers is in. Touchdown. And the Saints have their first lead of the day. Second touchdown for Ray Zellers.
As big a win for the Saints as this ball game could be, it could be a disastrous game for the Seattle Seahawks, and they have just played emotionless football today. There hasn't been the spark there. Had a couple opportunities to come up with big plays offensively. They haven't cashed them in.
And Doug Bryant makes it 14-10. Ray Zellers. Saints coming from behind. They lead 14-10. Still early here in the fourth quarter.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Domino's Pizza, delivering 1 million smiles a day. Call for pizza now and share a smile during the game.
They're dancing in New Orleans as the Saints lead it 14-10. Eric Gulliford with a 29-yard punt return to set up that touchdown drive for the New Orleans Saints. The offense has been struggling, but Gulliford's given them good field position. Did the same thing last week with a victory over the Raiders. Ronnie Harris picks it up at about the 2. Harris across the 20, a tackle hard at the 22-yard line. Jared Tomich, the rookie, making the stop. And now it's time for Warren Moon and another comeback. Last week against San Diego, twice they were down by 14. In the final 6 minutes of the game, they scored 13 points. So if anyone can do it, certainly Warren Moon. And there's plenty of time with 13.5 minutes remaining.
And here's Sparky going out to get the tee. In the last 2 ball games, when they hadn't been able to score, the only time the dog had been on the field was the opening kickoff of the game.
A well-rested Pooch, first down and 10 at the 23. Moon and throws it low. Richard Harvey right there. Crumpler, the intended receiver.
Now that's a classic matchup between Richard Harvey and Carlester Crumpler. Both of their dads played in the NFL, and usually when you're a kid, you go up to another kid and you say, my dad can beat up your dad. Well, Harvey can't say that to Crumpler because both their dads were in the NFL.
By the way, we've just received word the dog's name, this is true now, Fetch Monster.
Fetch Monster.
It is not Sparky. Just put the tag on a dog.
Sparky the Wonder Dog.
Second and 10. Moon in the shotgun. Moon under pressure. And it's complete up to the 29-yard line. As Brian Blades hauls it in. Mark Fields right there to make sure he doesn't go anywhere.
Now, do you think they named it Fetch Monster when they brought it home from the kennel when it was like just a little pup? Or do you think they said, this dog looks like Sparky?
I think that's a name change as the years go by. He gets rewarded.
Gumbo?
Now, there's confusion here.
See, you don't want Gumbo to come out. That's a big doghouse. You don't want Gumbo to get loose on the field.
Big play here for the Seahawks, 3rd and 3. Big rush. Moon complete to Pritchard. Pritchard has the first down and still more. And finally taken down at the 38-yard line. Chris Hewitt finally brings him down. See some of the scores. Jacksonville now leading Tennessee that early in the fourth quarter as Giants leading Arizona. Mike Ditka. Spent 4 years with NBC. And this, I mean, it doesn't look like it. You have to think he enjoys this
Well,
scenario.
he hasn't lost it today either. I mean, he's remained calm this whole ball game.
Play fake. Moon looks downfield for Galloway, and Galloway incomplete. Hewitt right there, making sure Galloway can't bring that one in.
Now, you could go to every game that Warren Moon plays all year long, and you will never again see him throw another duck. This ball is late getting there. It starts to get that extra gyration in it where it's going end over end. It doesn't have the nice tight spiral, and when it doesn't have that, aerodynamically, it doesn't fly through the air as quickly. consequently, it's late getting there. The safety's there to break it up. So a duck from the Seahawks.
Called the duck.
Sorry, Warren.
2nd and 10. Warren, a hit and breaks a tackle. And Warren finally dragged down about the 43-yard line.
We saw Warren Moon's passing numbers. We mentioned at the top of the show that he had 8 consecutive 250-yard ball games coming into this game, and today he only has 138 yards. Last week, this team held Jeff George to 210 yards, 55 of those to the big tight end Dudley on one play, so they've been able to contain Warren Moon in this ball game.
The Saints defense, Dennis Erickson called it a playoff team type defense. 3rd and 6. Moon again goes in the shotgun. Here come the blitz. Moon incomplete. Threw it in traffic. Blades was there. On a 4th down. And Kyle Richardson will come on to punt. I mean, Washington with good
looked
coverage.
like Blades was glancing at the guys around him. Warren Moon said, some of the throws I'll make, people don't believe that I can fit it in between defenders. He fits this ball in there, and it's going right at Blades. Blades takes his eyes off this ball.
Almost like maybe a goalie being screened as Washington put up the hand. Richardson back on. He had one of the key plays. Fumbling the snap that led to a Saints TD. Strong rush, it's blocked. Saints block it. And the Seahawks trying to dive on it. Another huge play for the New Orleans special teams. Bobby April, loving it. And the newly signed punter having his problems, certainly for Seattle. Let's see who blocked it.
They come right up the middle. They overload it.
Chris Hewitt. Boy, Hewitt's made some big plays here in the second
and
half.
that's an early block. That's not one of those ones where he had to launch himself. He almost takes this one off the foot of Richardson.
Mario Bates recovers, and Hewitt with the block. Ball is at the 5-yard line. 14-10, Saints leading. Just under 11 minutes remaining here in the 4th. 1st and goal at the 5. And Sellers hit right away. Jay Bellamy making the tackle. Got back to the line of scrimmage. That was it.
And if you looked at that set, you had the 2 wide receivers split out, and then you had 9 Seattle Seahawks defenders within 4 yards of the line of scrimmage. They said, if you're going to throw the ball, you can beat us on the outside. We're not going to let you run this ball on us.
2nd and goal. Still at the 5. Turnovers costly for Seattle. Shuler throws incomplete. Jeremy Lincoln knocking it away.
Once again, they line up with 9 guys. You know, you had that box that you talked about from tackle to tackle, a couple yards deep. We're not going to let you beat us running the football in here. You know, a little tugging and pulling there, but not enough to constitute a flag of any sort.
Shuler, although that incomplete, looking a lot sharper. Lincoln, he's the guy starting for Springs. 3rd and goal at the 5. Shuler under pressure, throws down, and it's caught at the 1-yard line. Hastings managed to hold on to it. So it's going to be 4th and goal at the 1.
I'm a little surprised by this because this is a Saint team that you know, you have nothing to lose here. You drive the stake further into the heart of the Seattle Seahawks if you get in for a touchdown. If you don't, granted, they still have 99 yards to go the other direct. This is almost the easy out for Seattle.
They've already scored on a 4th and goal at the 1.
But you kick the field goal here, you let them set their offense up with a good kick return, they're back in the ball game.
A 19-yarder for Doug Bryan. And Bryan puts it through. This one is turned around here early in the 4th quarter. Just under 9.5 remaining. Saints lead at 17-10. Chris Hewitt, a rookie free agent out of Cincinnati, is having a huge second half for the Saints. That block punt leading to 3 points for New Orleans. They lead 17-10. Bryan will kick off. Ronnie Harris, about 3 yards deep, hesitates, starts to come out, and says no. Like Harry makes sure nobody hits him.
He barely said no.
So Seattle will take over at their own 20. Bryan with a good kickoff. And boy, this game has turned around here in the fourth quarter.
I mean, he thinks, and then he goes and he stops. He puts that toe on the line, and then he makes a quick right turn.
Very nonchalant at that. Very calm. Nope, leave me alone. And get some help from Carey. First and 10 at their own 20. Still plenty of time. The Seahawks have all 3 of their timeouts. Saints down to 1 timeout, but they lead at 17-10. Hand off to Warren. And Warren, nice run. Hewitt hits him first, loses his helmet. And Warren taken down. Looks like he may have gotten a first down on that one. Warren's looking pretty sharp in the second half.
But what the Seahawks have been able to do is when you put those 3 wide receivers in, you spread the other guys out. You take a linebacker out who'd normally be in there combating a lead fullback, and consequently when you run the ball strong side behind that tight end, you actually have the defense outmanned.
Saints have scored 17 unanswered points, and all of it has been set up by special teams play. Warren getting the first down. Boom, out of reverse, Joey Galloway. And Galloway cut down by Mickey Washington.
You know, the onside receiver, the guy who was away from the man who's running the reverse, it's his job to get his guy just on his horse and get the guy away from the play. That time Mike Pritchard is on that side of the field, and his guy, Mickey Washington, stays at home. You know, it almost seemed like, you know, Warren Moon wasn't real sure about that play when the pressure started coming from the inside.
And Wayne Martin, his penetration there, Galloway slowed down just a little bit. 2nd and 11. Moon has time, downfield, complete. Flag comes in, Galloway up at midfield. A penalty marker came flying in. Sammy Knight brings it down.
That flag was thrown a long ways over the head of the 2 receivers who are on that side.
19-yard pickup. Let's see, though. We'll go against New Orleans.
So I didn't see a defender close enough to a receiver to hold anyone. I mean, Galloway is wide open. He obviously wasn't held.
Before the pass, holding on the defense, number 29. That foul is declined. The play results in a first down.
Sammy Knight. So they'll put the ball at the Seattle 49.
Now, I think it was Molden. Molden is actually the guy who gets the hold, and he gets his hand on Blade's helmet, and you can't use a guy's helmet to steer him in a direction. So that's why the hold is called.
They say 29, but Molden simply the culprit. Chris Warren. Warren has a nice hold, and he gets down to the 43-yard line. Mark Fields and Chris Hewitt make the tackle.
But the Saints are going to continue to try and attack Warren Moon to get the pass rush on him. Granted, they're going to get creased by some runs from Chris Warren, and you see 86 yards, his season high. They don't want to give up the big pass play, and to not give up the big pass play, you have to pressure Warren Moon. So that's their first thought. The front 4, they're just taking off upfield. And as long as they do that, the running lanes are going to be there. They don't want to give up the big pass play.
2nd down and 3. Moon goes downfield looking for Galloway and overthrows him. Molden right there on the coverage. And a 3rd and 3 coming up for the Seahawks.
And I actually think that the pressure that the New Orleans Saints have been applying makes Warren Moon throw that ball early. That was one of their max protection plays. They just sent 3 guys out, the 2 wide receivers, the tight end. They had 2 backs in the backfield that time. They're both blocked, so they have 7 guys blocking. Warren Moon can actually hold that ball a little longer. That ball got up so quickly, Galloway wasn't even with the defensive back.
We saw Xavier Urali, and you can see almost the tension. Hoping his defense holds off Warren Moon of the Seahawks. 3rd and 3. Blades goes in motion. Warren. And Warren is stopped. Well shy of the first down. Roy Glover.
And I think Dennis Erickson has some decision making to do. He just motioned to go for it. I mean, they didn't gain any yardage there, but he still motioned for the guys to go for it. And you have Walter Jones limping off, so James Atkins is going to come on and join the offensive line. Grant Williams is going to move from right tackle to left tackle, so he's changing positions in midstream during the course of the ball game. And the biggest play of the game, you've got changes on the offensive line.
4th and 3. Seattle at the New Orleans 43-yard line. Seahawks trail at 17-10. 6 minutes remaining, 4th quarter. Boone, quick drop, and he threw it behind Galloway. Saints will take over. This defense is impressive by the Saints.
Yeah, Xavier Muralian, he doesn't hesitate to continue to come after Warren Moon. You know, he looks like he's been in a wind tunnel right there, but he's going to just continue to attack. He sent 6 guys there. He knew that Warren Moon could get rid of the ball quickly, but he said if we can pressure him right up the gut. See Fields looping around. He's there to make the play and make Warren throw it off the mark.
That's been the key all afternoon. As Shuler takes over at his own 43. They go to McCrary, his first carry, and McCrary taken down. Dean Wells makes the tackle. That's McCrary's first rush of the season.
Yeah, but this is where the Seattle Seahawks, you know, you're mentally down, you're expecting your offense to go down, get you back in this ball game. You cannot give up first downs and clock time here in this drive. The Seattle Seahawks have 3 timeouts. If they stop them here on 2nd down, I call timeout so that you have as much time on the clock when you get the ball back.
2nd down and 5. 5:15 remaining here in the 4th. Shuler, play fake, incomplete. Irv Smith couldn't get a hold of it. Jay Bellamy got in the backfield.
Well, that incomplete pass will serve as a sort of a timeout until the ball gets set for play for the Seattle Seahawks.
You see the difference. Shuler really playing solidly in the second half, but he's been set up. Bobby April's special teams for the 2nd straight week have set up all the scoring.
Granted, he's been set up, but he's still been able to deliver. He had 2 big pass plays on the previous drive, and that time they even put the ball in his hands to throw it again.
3rd and 5. Shuler, ball's deflected. Bellamy got a piece of it, and it's 4th down coming up. Jay Bellamy, the deflection.
A huge play by Bellamy, a guy who kind of comes on a half blitz, and he's not going to get there, and he has enough presence of mind to get up and knock the ball away from the intended receiver. And that's about as high as Bellamy can jump. If he doesn't get that, they have an easy completion for a 1st down.
Mark Royals back on the punt. Lonnie Harris standing back at his own 10. And Royals picks up a nice high kick. Harris again, fair catch at the 9. Mark Royals does his job. 4:53 remaining, 4th quarter. Seahawks trailing by 7 with 3 timeouts remaining. Seattle Seahawks hoping for their first playoff berth since 1988. They're at 6-4 in good position, but they've got a tough game next week against Kansas City, and they're in some battle right now. 4:53 remaining, down by 7. All the way back at their own 10, but they have all 3 timeouts left. Warren Moon under pressure and somehow gets away. And Moon's going to dash to the sideline. Whitford Tubbs makes sure he doesn't go upfield anymore. But a nice run by Warren Moon. 7-yard pickup.
Yeah, and the pocket collapses all around him. And Warren Moon is standing right there near the goal line. He realizes if I get sacked, the ball comes loose, we're out of this ball game. Talk about the wheels at age almost 41. That's the fear factor coming in. It makes you go a little faster.
Seahawks do not have an offensive touchdown. Their only TD was Darrell Williams, a 44-yard interception return. The Saints defense has been magnificent this afternoon. Moon looks incomplete. Blades could not hold on to it.
Yeah, you have to make that catch. You know, Brian Blades ends up lunging after the ball after it hits him. And I'm surprised that he has that kind of deflection shield on that shades you from the sun. But that ball is right in his hand. You see him kind of leaning toward it. That's, you know, you're not real sure if you can make a play when you start doing things like that.
Veteran Blades. There's the time remaining. 4:41. A 3rd and 3. Not a large crowd at the Superdome, but they've been loud here in the 4th quarter. Moon. Pritchard's got it. Good for a first down up to about the 23. Big reception from Mike Pritchard. Mickey Washington knocks him out.
Boy, and that ball looked like it hung in the air for a long time. You could see Washington trying to decide whether or not to cut up under it. And Washington just gets his feet caught in the carpet a little bit. If he comes clean on his break, he has a chance to easily knock that ball down and maybe even a chance to get his hands on it and go the opposite direction.
Mark it just above the 22. With a first down for the Seahawks. Tubbs showing blitz. Boom, downfield, looks for Galloway.
And again, there's some holding there, too.
Yeah, there's the flag coming in. Chris Hewitt was there, and Eric Allen on the coverage.
Yeah, Eric Allen, as crafty as he is, he had his left hand on the shoulder pads of Joey Galloway. He knew that he was beaten. He just didn't want to get beaten for a touchdown.
And boy, that is a huge play.
Pass interference on the defense, number 21. Automatic. First down.
Yeah, because they bring Molden on the blitz. They bring 6 guys, and Galloway's head deep. You know, Galloway doesn't really turn it on. You know, he's kind of looking for the ball as if he's going to get that deep slant pattern.
So the ball marked at the 47-yard line.
You know, Eric Allen, in his mind, he's thinking, we're blitzing. This is going to have to be a 10 or 12-yard pattern. They're not going to go deep on me. So he's kind of taking that calculated gamble.
Moon on a play fake. He's sacked. Warren Moon knocked down. As Leroy Glover. His 4th sack of the year.
Well, Moon is trying to hit Crumpler going up the seam, but the pressure just gets to him right over the middle of the ball. Glover ends up working on 2 people, splits them, and then gets to Moon. Moon is actually the victim of just holding the ball too long there.
Saints with their 3rd sack of the day. 2nd and 17 as Moon tackled back at the 40. A little over 4 minutes remaining and counting. Again, Seattle has all 3 timeouts remaining. Moon across the middle. Incomplete. Ball popped up. Eric Allen right there on the coverage of James McKnight.
And they had the first down distance there. The ball comes in about a foot off the ground. McKnight tries to go down to get it. And he has the ball. He gets tripped up by the feet. And as soon as he hits the ground, the ball just pops out. And when the feet get tangled, that's just incidental contact. We saw that a couple of weeks ago with Rod Woodson and Michael Irvin. And this play is the whole ball game here.
3rd and 17. Just under 4 minutes remaining, 4th quarter. Moon has time, complete to Blades, and Blades very close to the first down. Fumble, ball still loose, and the Saints fall on it.
Blades was about as down as you can get. Both knees were on the ground.
New Orleans football. It looked like they had enough for the first down, but Blades couldn't hold on. Winford Tubbs recovered.
Well, Blades fumbles right at the marker. He turns upfield. And his knees are on the ground before that ball comes out.
That looks like that should have been whistled dead. Tubbs finally just falls on it. And the Saints have it, 3:44 remaining.
Even if Blades is tackled short, obviously they still have a chance to go for it. No, that ball is out. Excuse us, we were wrong.
Yep. That replay tells it. Good call by the officials. McCrary trying to get somewhere. Chad Brown brings him down for a loss. And Seattle with 3 timeouts remaining. Clock still moving.
They have all 3 timeouts remaining and the 2-minute warning coming up.
On that last play, Hewitt forced a fumble, so Chris Hewitt with another big play. 2nd and 13. Ray Zellers. Zellers hit. Bellamy and Brown quickly. And a 3rd and long coming up.
I guess Dennis Erickson is thinking that they can run 3 plays. We'll still get the ball stopped before the 2-minute warning. And we'll still have 2 timeouts to go afterwards.
Well, they still have all 3.
But if you let this play run off here, where it's a differential of about 15 seconds between what would be the 2-minute warning and the play clock, you're going to be able to get the play stopped before the 2-minute warning.
Play clock down to 10. That's the time remaining here in the 4th quarter. 3rd and 13. Shuler looks downfield, intercepted. Darrell Williams again. And Williams cut down at about the 38-yard line. His 2nd interception of the game. A 28-yard return. And Dennis Erickson's team has some life again.
You see Ditka starting to lose a little bit right there. You know, he says he's not always right, but he just has to get that emotion out. He says, you know, I may say the wrong thing. I may tell the guys something that didn't happen during the game, but I just can't bottle it up. They get a blitz from the Seattle Seahawks. Shuler just doesn't step up into the throw. He has Irv Smith open down the field. You throw this ball beyond the receiver. You don't throw it short where the defensive player has a chance to undercut him. But this time, at least Shuler does get the tackle on Williams.
Darrell Williams now 8 interceptions on the season. 2:09 remaining. Seahawks still with all 3 timeouts left. Moon and Warren somehow got it in traffic.
That was danger right there. Darren McKell, you know, guys, you know, they get tired in the ball game. And late in the ball game, you're trying to run a screen, and the guys aren't tired enough to rush the passer.
2-minute warning, 4th quarter at the Superdome. Warren Moon and the Seahawks, they've won 4 or 5. They've been on a roll. But they've come across a very tough defense this afternoon. Dennis Erickson called it. I don't know if he thought it'd be this tough. Xavier Uralian's defensive squad has had a terrific afternoon. 2nd and 14. Seahawks with all 3 of their timeouts remaining. Moon looks almost picked off. Sammy Knight was right there.
Yeah, you can't eye a receiver down that long down the field. There's a guy running a deep square in. He eludes the pass rush, and then you wait to throw him the football. Sammy Knight, a very heady player. I mean, he sees this coming a mile away, and he's there before Pritchard has a chance to get to the football.
Knight had the big interception to end Oakland's chances last week. 3rd and 14. Moon goes into the shotgun. Got some extra protection in the backfield with it. Complete to Warren. And Warren knocked out of bounds at the 35 by Eric Allen, way shy of the 1st down.
You know, I'd rather see Warren there on the sideline try and cut back in and get as much yardage as possible.
9-yard pickup. So 4th down coming up. 4th and 5.
You know, Warren Moon wants to get something downfield, but he realizes I have to cut this deficit at least in half. And at that point, Chris Warren has to just take on Eric Allen and punish him for every yard that they can get.
And Seattle's going to use one of their timeouts. So Moon will chat on the sideline with 1:48 remaining. 4th and 5. The ball on the Saints 34. I want to tell you about exciting NFL action continuing next Sunday. We'll have a doubleheader beginning at 12 noon Eastern with the NFL on NBC. Then in game 1, Dan Marino with the Dolphins battle Drew Bledsoe and the Patriots in the AFC East showdown. And then in game 2, most of you see the Chargers and the 49ers. Others will see the Chiefs take on the Seahawks. We'll be in Seattle for that one. Check your local listings for games in your area.
You know, and I don't think that Xavier Aurelian deviates one iota from what they've done all game long. They are going to bring 6, maybe 7 players after Warren Moon in this situation, and they're going to make Moon beat them. They're going to pressure him directly up the middle and not give him a chance to throw up, make him throw hot, and come up and get the tackle.
4th down and 5. Moon, complete, a first down. Ray McKnight, James McKnight, there he goes. Touchdown, Seattle. A 34-yard score, and Moon does it again.
Well, I said that they would blitz him, make him throw hot, come up and make the tackle. Make the tackle, emphasis on making the tackle. McKnight is the best guy they have after the catch. He breaks one tackle where he's trying to swipe the ball away. Another guy gets cut off. Hewitt makes one last attempt to get at him. But McKnight is in for a touchdown.
McKnight's 4th touchdown of the season, and this is a huge extra point with 1:40 remaining. And Peterson knocks it through. So the Seahawks score on a 4th and 5. James McKnight with a great effort after the catch, and we're tied at 17.
We talked about them trying to pressure, and they almost get to Moon up the middle. He has that separation from Molden, and he just makes a great job in cutting back and breaking the tackle of Sammy Knight. Sammy Knight calls himself a good tackler. He says, I'm a sure tackler. That time just a terrific cutback by McKnight. McKnight was injured at the beginning of the season. That was one of the reasons that this Seattle Seahawks offense was slow to get going.
Warren Moon throwing his 17th touchdown pass of the season. Aurelian and his team playing so well in his defensive squad all afternoon, but giving up a big play with 1:40 remaining. And now Mike Ditka needs a big return from Eric Gulliford. Saints still have a timeout left. Gulliford has returned a kickoff for a touchdown earlier this season. And I don't know what that means, whether Werfel might come in. Who knows if Shuler is.
Well, Werfel's listed
hurting
as the number 3 quarterback today, so Nussmeier is actually the next guy to come in.
Peterson with a kick. Gulliford at the 2. And Gulliford taken from behind at about the 22. And Heath, let's see. Waiting to see who's going in right now for, and it is Nussmeier. Doug Nussmeier coming into the game.
Well, Heath Shuler came into the game with that turf toe injury, took a big hit several times during the course of the ball game, and maybe Ditka just feels, you know, we need a spark. And we've seen this from Bill Parcells and the Jets.
Odd time though to bring in your backup quarterback. Shuler was 6 of 14 through a couple of interceptions.
Well, I'd say Ditka's an odd guy.
Well, he does things differently, that's for sure. Still one timeout remaining for the Saints. Nussmeier, the lefty, looks downfield, complete. Up to the 34-yard line. Gulliford makes the reception. Clock continues to move, 12-yard pickup. Nussmeier with time, throws it out. McCrary tripped up at about the 36.
And we got a flag for a late hit.
And that's what it appears to be, and that could be a costly penalty. Well, you got to wonder what's going through the minds of the player or the late hitter at this point.
Well, you're trying to hustle to get to the play, and you see, he comes and he almost misses it. That's Tim Hout. He doesn't get to play a lot.
The defense, number 26, unnecessary roughness, 15 yards, automatic, first down.
He's a special teams demon, and he's used to going 100 miles an hour regardless.
So Hout with a costly mistake. Ball now at the 49 of Seattle. McCrary and Zellers are in the backfield. Doug Nussmeier, his first action today. What a time to come in. Quick drop, and it's complete. Hastings breaks the tackle down the sidelines and knocked out of bounds at about the 29-yard line. A 20-yard pickup. Andre Hastings with the moves after the catch. They're now within a 47-yard field goal. And Ryan already this year has a 53-yarder.
Yeah, I think right here what you do is you ask your kicker which hash you want the ball on, and you run the ball twice to that side, then you use your timeout.
They still have one timeout remaining. Nussmeier, they drop it, and it looks like Seattle recovers. Yes, the Seahawks have it back. Chad Brown recovers. Unbelievable.
Nussmeier just completely missed the handoff. See William Rofe tossing his helmet in disgust. I mean, this game obviously is not over. You have a great defense. You send them out there. They get a stop. You try and force this thing into overtime.
What a turn of events again.
Just a simple draw handoff. He puts the ball. It ends up on the right shoulder pad of Zellers. And Nussmeier had a lot of time working in practice this week as Werfel was out with an injury.
That's the 5th Saint turnover. And Ditka wondering why he returns to the sidelines on plays like that. 51 seconds remaining. Game tied at 17. Seattle still with 2 timeouts left. They've got a kicker with a good leg. Moon hauled in at the 42. McKnight gets up. He wasn't touched. And then
he got grabbed by the face mask.
And here comes the flag. So they'll stop the clock with 41 seconds left. Another huge penalty.
And I think the biggest thing about the penalty is that you get the clock stopped with a free timeout.
The defense, number 25, 5 yards at the end of the run. First down.
Alex Molden, there you see him grab it. McKnight with another big reception.
And if you look at the 3 wide receiver set being employed by the Seattle Seahawks, James McKnight has been placed in the lineup instead of Brian Blades, and he's come up with the 2 biggest plays of the ball game for the Seahawks thus far.
Right now, if the Seahawks kick, it'd be a 53-yarder. Todd Peterson's long this year is 52, but they've got 1st and 10 with still 41 seconds. Moon for Pritchard, and Pritchard runs out of bounds at the 29-yard line. Mickey Washington right there. 38 seconds remaining. Seattle still with 2 timeouts left. What a roller coaster here in the final couple of minutes. Peterson waiting, perhaps for his chance.
Yeah, and we have to remember that part of the Peterson connection is going to be using a new holder, Kyle Richardson. Peterson
1 of 2 today. His longest last year, a 54-yarder. He's got a 52 this season. 2nd and 4. And Warren gets maybe a yard or 2. And a timeout's going to be called now by Seattle. They'll stop the clock with 27 seconds. Seahawks still with 1 timeout left.
I mean, the whole unbelievable aspects of this is that Seattle has the ball in the identical same position, and they mishandle a simple handoff.
Here's our Miller Time game summary. Tied here in the 4th quarter. The special teams for New Orleans doing the job. You see the Seahawks fumbled 1 snap, had another block. And Gulliford, 139 return yards. Special teams, Coach Bobby April, again, his squad doing the job.
You know, you also have to look at that blocked field goal as being a turnover for the block punt for the New Orleans Saints. I mean, that is a huge play. They take over on the 5-yard line and punch it in for a touchdown. And Bobby April is telling his guys, you know, we've kept you guys in this ball game so far. We'll block this field goal.
Ball at the 27.5-yard line. Boom. Incomplete. Pritchard, the intended receiver, Mickey Washington right there. And now this will be about a 44-yard field goal. If they decide to kick it, then they will. Peterson will come on. He's made from 36 today. He's missed from 33. And as James just pointed out, Kyle Richardson just signed this week. He is the new holder, and that's what Dennis Erickson said concerned him more than Richardson's punting.
Well, I think a lot about Richardson concerns him at this juncture of the ball game, but Richardson has handled these pretty well so far.
They'll call it a 45-yarder. Peterson pushes it, no good. And the game remains tied.
You know, if he missed one wide right from 30 earlier, in my mind, you line this guy up, you try and get the ball on that left hash. You don't put him on the right hash. All right kickers leave that ball out to. I've seen too many wide right field goals in my life.
Anybody interested in winning this game? Both teams with numerous opportunities in the final minutes. And a perplexed Todd Peterson gives Mike Ditka and the Saints another chance. They take over at the 35. Nussmeier still in the game. Saints have one timeout remaining.
They essentially need to gain about 35 yards here to have a shot at kicking a field goal.
See if they even try it. Nussmeier under some pressure. Nussmeier with some room ahead, but tracked down from behind. Sam Adams. And a quick timeout. Saints will burn their final timeout with 11 seconds left. Ball is placed just shy of their own 40.
And Nussmeier did a good job in covering that ball up when he decided to head upfield and run with it.
He had about another 10 yards ahead of him free if Sam Adams, of all people, Adams, who goes about 300 pounds, couldn't catch him from behind.
Sam Adams went about 300 pounds when he was in the 9th grade. Closer to 350 right now. When they get over 300, they don't even take them to the scales any longer.
So Nussmeier coming on in the final series, final couple of series, was leading the Saints what looked like was going to be a field goal to win the game. He replaced Heath Shuler, but then Nussmeier botched a handoff. They fumbled. And the Seahawks took control. However, they miss a 45-yarder that could have won it for them. Second and 7. Nussmeier complete to Hill at the 48. Clock winding down. And they're not going to be able to spike the ball. And we're going to overtime here at New Orleans. They had to get somebody to go out of bounds to stop the clock.
Yeah,
it still would have been too far for a field goal.
You can't catch that ball on the ground and expect for them to get up and be able to spike it.
So Mike Ditka, his team's still alive, tied at 17. Saints trailed 10-0, came back, took the lead at 17-10. And then the Seahawks scoring the tying touchdown with a little over a minute and a half remaining in the fourth. So the coin toss coming up now. Heath Shuler taken out of the game, but William Rolfe and Shuler will do the coin toss.
Now, you only need one guy to call it. It's kind of like a show of strength from the Saints here.
To break the tie, there will be a sudden death overtime period. Both teams will have 2 timeouts, and fourth quarter rules will apply. Heads and tails, call it in the air. Whoops. I'm going to let it hit the ground, call it out. Tails. Tails, he calls. Tails it is. You got the ball. Got the ball. That way. Seattle has won the toss, and they will receive.
Winston Moss calls it right for Seattle. They'll accept the kickoff as we go to overtime in New Orleans. We'll be back after word from your local station. A bizarre finish here at the Superdome, and we have more to go. Overtime as the Seahawks and Saints tied at 17. Warren Moon threw the game-tying touchdown with just a little over a minute and a half remaining in the fourth. Then both teams having opportunities to perhaps get a game-winning field goal. Saints fumbled theirs as Heath Shuler was replaced by Doug Nussmeier. And then Todd Peterson missing a 45-yarder. Doug Breen will kick off for New Orleans. Steve Broussard lets it go back. A touchback. Seattle will take it over. 1st and 10 at their own 20. It'll be 41 on Tuesday. It has not been an easy game for Warren Moon. He's been under pressure, sacked 3 times, and he's been hit a number of other times. Saints defense playing a very strong game. They gave up that one big play. Moon to James McKnight, a game-tying touchdown. The other Seattle touchdown was an interception return for a score.
And with this offensive set here is where they tried to hit Crumpler down the seam. Moon looks like he's changing the play.
And they've got to use one of their timeouts. You get 2 in the overtime. And Moon will talk it over.
Well, he's just going to walk over to the line of scrimmage and say they weren't in what we expected them to be in. If I drop back to pass there, I'll probably get sacked.
And Moon, who pretty much recognizes everything, he has seen it all. You know, there's something weird out there when he doesn't understand it. Moon took over as the starting quarterback in week 1 when John Freeze broke his thumb against the Jets. Freeze now can play. In fact, he's the backup quarterback today. He's had his helmet on down the stretch of this one. Kind of flipping the football around, but Moon has been the guy for Dennis Erickson. Moon under pressure. He's hit. Intercepted. Tubbs has it. Winford Tubbs dives down to the 22. Mark Fields hit Moon, and Tubbs comes up with a pick. Fourth Seattle turnover.
And it, just like I called it, they tried to hit Crumpler up the seam. Warren Moon gets this ball off, but there's no trajectory on it. He needs to lay this ball up over the top.
Tubbs' second interception of the season. The ball down at about the 20-yard line. 14-yard return.
Mike Dick is not going to waste any time.
Doug Bryant coming on for the field goal. What do you think of this?
Well, if you botch the snap, you can still kick it on 2nd down, but you know, this is sudden death. Get it over with as quickly as possible. That's the way Iron Mike is thinking.
A 38-yarder. Ryan's long this year is 53. He's been very steady all season. Saints win in overtime. And a heartbreaking loss for the veteran Warren Moon and the Seattle Seahawks. 2 in a row for the Saints. Final from the Superdome. In OT, the Saints 20 and the Seahawks 17. We'll be back. You're watching the NFL on NBC.